Today is December 4th, 1997. Interview with Jane Fresco. Maiden name was Cohen. My name is Murray Schechter. The interview is taking place in Herzliya, Israel. The language is English. My name is Murray Schechter. Today is December 4th, 1997. I'm conducting an interview with Jane Fresco. The interview is taking place in Herzliya, Israel. What is your name?
My name is Jane Fresco. In Holland they called me Sjaan.
Where were you born?
I'm born in Amsterdam.
What's your birthday?
My birthday is the 8th of December, 1924.
And how old are you now?
I'm almost 73.
What was your father's name?
My father's name was Isaac. Isaac, I like to say in English.
Where was he born?
He was born also in Amsterdam.
What was his occupation?
He was, how do you call it? He had a shop in men's clothes.
How would you describe your family's economic status?
We were not rich, but we were a very happy family, and we had no problems. We had always, how do you call it, everything we wanted, everything we needed.
What was your mother's maiden name?
My mother's maiden name was Zwart.
Where was she born?
She was also born in Amsterdam.
Was your family religious?
No, we were not religious.
What's the strongest memory you have of your parents while you were growing up?
I think they were a very happy couple, and they did everything for us. They had to work very hard, and one of the things is that we had never a chance to go on a holiday together. So most of the time I went with my mother, and my brother went with my father.
What language did you speak at home?
Dutch.
Did you have a large family?
We had a very large family. My father had 5 brothers and sisters, and my mother had 6 brothers and sisters. And I don't know how many children they had, but it was a lot. We had a lot of cousins, and we had a very good family. We have a very good contact with each other.
Did they live near you?
No, they didn't live near us. There were some in Amsterdam and some outside of Amsterdam. The most of the family of my mother was in diamond merchants and diamond workers, and a couple of them lived in Antwerp. My father's family lived all in Amsterdam.
Were you close with your grandparents?
Both my grandmothers died when I was very young, about 4 or 5 years old. But my two grandfathers were still alive when the war started. My father's grandfather was like a friend to us. He was always telling stories to us, and even when I grew up, my friends went with me to hear his stories. And most of his stories were he just made them up. My other grandfather was a completely different man. He was not so friendly with the grandchildren. He was a very good man, but he kept them on a distance.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had 1 brother.
Want to tell us about him?
He was 22 months older than I was. He was taking care of me. I was his little sister, and he took care of me. And when we were very young, on a Sunday morning, my father went to play billiards in the near cafe. My mother was taking care of the home, and he took me for a walk. Once it happens that we lost our way, and he asked somebody to a street not our street, in another street. And I asked him later on, why didn't you ask for our street? He said, strange people doesn't have to know where we are living. But he found a way back home.
What was his name?
His name was Bernard.
Can you describe your home?
We were living in we had a shop, men's clothes. And like the many shops, old shops in Amsterdam, we were living behind the shop. Or you're living, the shop is connected to the living place. We had a house behind the shop, and on every floor there was a room. In the basement was the kitchen, above that was the living room, above that the bedroom of my parents, and above that our bedroom. Just one room on every floor.
Can you describe your room?
Yes, we had, my brother and I had one room together. I don't know how you call it, with something between our beds. So we had little private places. And there was 2 beds, because our room was not so big, 2 beds, and a writing table, and a cupboard for games and so on.
What was your neighborhood like?
Our neighborhood was the center of Amsterdam. It was all shops. And I don't think we knew even our neighbors. That was, there was not much connection between the neighbors. It was all shops. The place still exists, and even the shop, the house where we were living is also still exists.
Who were your friends?
My friends were children from the neighborhood. Non-Jewish, only I had one Jewish friend from school, and all the other children were not non-Jewish. But we played together, and it was really very nice.
What did you like to do after school?
I just played together, and it was not so an easy life, because my mother was most of the time in the shop. As I told you, we were not rich. So since I was very young, I had to help to keep the house clean. So on Wednesday afternoon, when the children from other children had a holiday, of the day off, I have to scrub the staircase or something. There were the old wooden staircases. And I didn't like it, because all my friends were playing outside. But that was the way it was.
Did you have any hobbies?
I used to go to gymnastics, and I loved to swim. Once a week at least I went to swim.
What did your family do in the evenings?
In the evening we were, I don't know how you call it here in Israel they call it sheshbesh, my father and my grandfather, because one of my grandfathers was not living with us, but he was eating always at our place. He was a widower, and he was sleeping he had a room outside our house, but he was eating at our place.
That's backgammon.
Backgammon.
What did you talk about with your parents?
All kinds of things. But we had a lot of fun together. Also, we sang a lot together. My father used to have a gramophone, an old gramophone, and he had all kinds of records from operas. And his biggest fun was to sing together with the records, but he sang the songs in Dutch. That was very funny.
Did you have any Jewish education?
Now till I was 10 years old, I didn't even know that I was Jewish. But when I was about 10 years old, my brother had to start to prepare for his bar mitzvah. So we got a Jewish teacher. And I remember when the first time my mother told me that we were Jewish, I didn't realize that it was a religion. I didn't know what was a religion. I thought it was one kind of a popular how do you call it, of a party like here you have the Labour Party and something like that. I didn't realize that it was something special.
What Jewish rituals were observed in your home?
The only Jewish rituals was that on Rosh Hashanah we bought nice postcards and we had a special meal and we had to put the nice postcards under the plates of my grandfather and my father to wish them good luck and Happy New Year. That was the only Jewish things I remember. On Friday evening we had a special meal because it was Friday evening, but I thought it was with everybody the same. I didn't realize it was something Jewish. That's the only Jewish thing I remember. And oh yes, of course, on Yom Kippur we didn't go to school. I was not on a Jewish school, but my parents had kept us at home.
Tell us about your brother's bar mitzvah.
Oh yes, that was a very sad story. My brother was bar mitzvah, and I was not allowed to go to the bar mitzvah, to the shul. You know why? He got for his bar mitzvah a present from my parents, and it was a bicycle. And he was not brought yet at home, so I had to wait at home till they brought the bicycle. So that's the way I didn't join the bar mitzvah of my brother. Until the day today, I felt very sorry about it.
Did they have a party for him?
Yes, they had a party for him. It was at our home. But I think the parties in Holland were not as big as they are here.
If you were not religious, how did you identify yourself as a Jew?
I don't have to identify. The Germans knew exactly who was a Jew. I didn't, it was no problem for them. I think it was, I don't know how to explain. But I have still the Jewish feeling, and I am very aware of it, that I have almost no family left. And I think that means to be a Jew in Europe.
What did you do when you finished school?
I started to work. I'm in the big department store in Amsterdam. And I was just, how do you call it, the girl who made night parcels. Was not allowed to sell or something. No.
How would you describe your relationship with non-Jews in Amsterdam?
Oh, no problem at all. No problem at all. I have many friends still, and they're non-Jews. Also, from my mother's side, were 7 children, and 4 of the 7 children were mixed marriage. So I have still some family left who's non-Jewish. So and my family, even when they don't know anything about Jewish.
Did you ever experience any anti-Semitism while you were growing up?
No, not till the start of the war, never.
What did you know about the rise of Nazi Germany?
The rise of the Nazi Germany, I know that in 1933 there was, it really started, and there came many German Jews to Holland. And they warned us to try to escape. No, that was not in that time. It was later on, in 1939, when it started the war in Eastern Europe. The German Jews warned us that the anti-Semitism would come also to Holland. We said that it's impossible. The Dutch government will not allow it. They said, take our words, it will come. But we didn't believe them.
Did your parents talk about the possibility of war?
Yes, there was talking about the possibility of war. and went in the 5th of May, 1940. Very early in the morning, we heard a lot of airplanes passing by. How do you call it? Overcast. And my brother woke me up, and he said, "There's war." So I said, "Why war? How is that possible?" He said, "For sure, there's war." And that was how it started, in the middle of the night.
Did your family consider leaving Amsterdam before the war?
No, never. Amsterdam was our city. We lived there and we grew up there.
Can you describe your first sighting of the Germans in Amsterdam?
Yes, they came in big groups, singing, and in big lines in cars, and singing and marching through the streets, and it was very frightening. But we didn't realize then that it would be so bad.
When did your life begin to change?
Our life began to change very quickly. We were not allowed to go some places. We had to, I think it was about the end of 1940, beginning 1941. We were not allowed to go to the movies anymore. We were not allowed to certain places. They put signs up in cafes, not allowed for Jews, and so on. It started with little things, and later on it started to grow bigger and bigger. I have a diary of my father. In that he wrote everything about the start of the war and how it started every time to get worse.
How did your friends treat you after the war started?
Very well. There was no problem. Till the war, the non-Jews were not allowed to contact Jews, and then they kept a distance. But it was not because they didn't like us. There was no reason for it. After the war, they were my friends as well. But just they were not allowed to come at our place. And
did your father still run the store?
Till 1941, I think. It still was the store. Then one day, the Germans came in with an announcement that he had to close the store. And my father didn't like it, because he had a lot of very good friends on his clients. He put a big sign on the door, because the Germans ordered us, because we are Jews, to close our store. And the sign was standing there for a couple of weeks. Then the Germans came and ordered him to take off the sign, otherwise they would take him to a concentration camp. I think that was in the end of 41, I think. Then one day they came and they ordered us to close. They closed our shop, and they ordered us to get out. So they ordered us, my parents, to give all their money. So they took all my parents' money and they left them with 10 guilders. That was all. I don't know how they managed afterwards without money. We lived there for another half a year. And to talk about the good Dutch people, our landlord from our shop, after the shop was closed for half a year, he had to move to another neighborhood. There was a kind of Jewish quarter in Amsterdam. It was not a ghetto, but it was a kind of Jewish quarter. And we got there a little flat And our landlord didn't receive his, how do you call it, his rent for about half a year. And he wanted to have it till the last penny, he said. I don't know if my parents paid him, but I don't know how it worked. When we went to the apartment in the Jewish quarter, we were there for about 6 weeks. Then we went in hiding.
Who was with you in the apartment?
It was only my parents. My brother, they took earlier, I think about 3-4 months earlier, they took my brother to a work camp in Holland. It was in the east of Holland, called Hardenberg. There they have to do all kinds of works in the fields and building and so on. This was all young Dutch Jews. My brother escaped from that place and went underground already. And it was about 2 months, I think, before we went underground.
Did you have any contact with your brother when he
During
went
the underground, yes, we were at a contact. My brother was helping other people. He was also working for the underground. And he took care of ration cards. He took also care for the ration cards of an uncle of mine who was also in hiding. One day my uncle knew where we were hidden. He came to our place and he said, we didn't receive the ration cards. Where is Bernhard? We said, we don't know. He should come to you. He said he didn't came. And it's already a week or so overdue. Then we realized that he was caught.
Could you walk in the streets when you were living in the Jewish neighborhood?
In the Jewish neighborhood, we could walk in the street, but not everywhere. We were not allowed to buy in every shop. And we had only a few hours a day we were allowed to go shopping.
Did you have to wear the yellow star?
We had to wear the yellow star. And I will tell you the funny thing. We had to wear the yellow star already from the beginning of 41, when we were still living in the place where we had our shop. And when I went to town, sorry, when we went to town, we had to pass the home of our town's mayor, how you call it, the burgermeister. And in front of his house was standing policemen. And when they saw us passing by, they saluted us. They were the Dutch policemen. It was very moving.
How did you feel when you were wearing the star?
We were very proud. We didn't like it so much, but anyway, we were very proud. We wanted people to know that we were Jewish. We didn't think about it even in the beginning. We were Jewish, okay. The Germans wanted to know who was a Jew, okay.
When did your family make plans to go into hiding?
That came very suddenly. I got, how do you call it? Announcement to melt me, how do you call it, to come to a certain place because they wanted to move me also to a working camp. I told my parents, I was 17 years old, I think. I told my parents I don't want to go. They said, you don't want to go? You have to go. I don't want to go. They don't need us. said, but we go with you. It's volunteers. I said, you can go, I don't go. They said, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. If they want to kill me, they can kill me at home. So my mother wrote to my aunt who was living near the Hague in Scheveningen. And she told, this is her sister, and she wrote her that she had problems. I had to go to the Germans to prepare for my going to Germany, and I don't want to go. And she didn't know what to do. She didn't want to press me because she didn't know if I was right, if it was really dangerous. A couple of days later, a woman came to our place, and she told us that she wanted to help us to go in hiding. She said, I don't know exactly how to, but I have friends who wanted to help people. Perhaps this will be a start. This woman was Tine Zegboer. She told us to be prepared a couple of days later. Then she would pick us up. But she came the next day. She said, I'm not free in a couple of days. I want to take you today because I have no time, I have some other job to do. So we said, okay. She said, you are not allowed suitcases. You have to put your yellow star very lightly on your clothes. Underway, we don't know each other. The only thing you can do is to take a couple of layers of clothes, one over another, so nobody will know you are moving. So we were not living very far to the central train station, and she took us to the train station, and we went by train to Rotterdam, all separately. We had no problems to go there. There she brought us to a house, and we didn't know exactly who that was. She said, it is a house of friends of us, friends of mine. They are not at home at the moment, and they are, it's a holiday, but you can stay here till we find something else. And that's the way we came in the house of the family Westerweel.
What was the date that you went to Rotterdam?
It was on the 13th of July, 1942.
Can you describe the train trip?
Was nothing special about. Only we didn't look at each other. We were sitting separately, like strangers in the train. When we came to Rotterdam, so we went on a bus or a streetcar. I don't remember. And we went to the south part of Rotterdam.
Who was with you?
There was this Tine Zegboer, who was a neighbor of my aunt.